She said, okay.
Okay. All right, we'll call the October 22nd meeting of the Public Works Committee to order. If there is no objection, staff is asked to move item G3 to item G1. Take it as item G1. All right. And then we'll look at our consent agenda. And are there any items on the consent agenda anyone want to remove?
Move for approval.
Second.
Well, I did have one item I'd like to pull off, and that's item C1.
Okay.
That's been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Item C1.
Item C1, resolution authorizing a lease agreement with Coliseum Park Plaza Corporation, providing space for the relocation of employee medical, HR training, engineering field office, 710 Coliseum Drive.
It is my fault. I saw it when we got the update some time ago. We looked at this and selected this site. But just looking at all the other sites that were looked at, and what were some of the specifications specifically that we were looking for in this site?
We're looking for a facility that would accommodate all these operations, as well as to be able to handle the truck traffic and the vehicular traffic associated with the employees that would be being used these sites. Truck traffic was a particularly difficult issue because employee medical requires us to be able to accommodate employees coming directly from the field to employee medical. So this facility had that capability. We did look at other facilities around the city, but this was felt to be the best one that accommodated all three needs. In
Okay.
addition, I should say that engineering field office operates several large vehicles as part of their normal operation.
And just again, looking at the rate there for $120,000 a year, and the amount of space, total amount of space that we'll be utilizing in that building,
Yeah.
what is the total? I was asking the
I'm
total
sorry.
amount.
Total amount of space would be consumed.
It says 11,000. Is that,
That's the net amount of space that would be used, yes.
okay. Okay. Councilman Adams?
And again, I guess I have some concerns and questions as to how this site got to be chosen out of probably numerous areas in the city. Again, I have no issue with it being where we're talking about putting it, but there are other areas in the city that could use this type of visibility and this particular need of the city in other areas. And Mr. Turner, forgive me, I don't know what other areas or buildings we looked at, but I would like to have a list.
Sure.
And I would like to, I'm not going to vote on this because I need to know that. Because don't get me wrong, I know where this particular area is. It's a nice area. But there are other areas in the city that we should be utilizing commercial space as well. And I don't know whether there are other areas that could give it to us cheaper. That's what I'm looking at.
We'll get you a list of other areas considered.
Thank you.
And I know this item is also loosely tied also to our item G1 on the agenda. But our time on this in terms of execution, because we can move forward without a recommendation, because I'm not planning to vote on it right now as well.
In the project, as you alluded to, is tied to the other item G1, and both are tied to the Salem Creek Connector project that NCDOT will be constructing. The contractor has been given a deadline to construct the project, and they've given us a deadline to move our facilities out of the existing space, and that deadline is the end of the calendar year. So we have to move our facilities by the end of December.
So we're good?
You'd be able to hold it a month.
Thank you.
If there is not not a difficulty created by holding it a month, and two committee members have questions, and it sounds like consensus just hold it in committee till November.
Okay, because I'm not against it if it was time sensitive to go forward without recommendation, but I do have a couple of questions on it.
We wouldn't need a decision by council in November, but you could hold it a month.
Councilmember Taylor?
Mr. Turner, I believe the information said that we were looking at a lease rate of roughly 10 grand a month over a 2.5-year period. That's somewhere around $300,000. Where is this money coming from? What part of money is this coming from? What particular budget?
This would be coming from NCDOT's relocation assistance program, since they are the cause of the expenditure or the cause of the relocation. Their program will reimburse us for the temporary space.
Okay, so it's not particularly coming out of any budget that currently exists. It's coming from the DOT relocation assistance funding.
That's correct. Not coming from city funds at the end of the project. It's coming from NCDOT reimbursement. We'll have to front the money, but it'll be reimbursed by NCDOT.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, seeing those questions, if there's consensus, we'll hold this item to be considered on the agenda next month. Going back to general.
Item G3, presentation of award received from the Solid Waste Association of North America.
Mr. Taylor and his staff will come up and explain the award to the committee.
Good afternoon,
Good afternoon.
Mr. Chair and other members of the Public Works
Good afternoon.
Committee. It is with great pleasure that we present this award that was presented to the Sanitation Department by the Solid Waste Association of North America, which is an organization that operates worldwide. And this particular award is a Bronze Excellence Award for our recycling collection system. And so we put together a project team which consisted of 4 members, 3 of which are here, and we submitted a paper to SWANA for consideration. And amongst many cities throughout our nation and some even in other countries, we were chosen, and we're very proud of this accomplishment. And we'd also like to thank the Public Works Committee as well as the council for all of their support. And we're just thrilled that we were able to be recognized for such a successful program. I would like to say that as a result of this collection program, the staff has done a tremendous job of helping put routes together, help with the design, and we're realizing a dream. It's actually a reality now. 20% increase in our tonnage, and we're also seeing a reduction in the cost of the program annually. So we just wanted to present this to everyone here and to the citizens of Winston-Salem, and we're proud of our first national award from SWANA. Team members, this is Ms. Carly Deneau. She is our GIS analyst. This is Mr. Randy Britton. He is the deputy director. And of course, there's one individual, Mr. Glenwood Moore, who is my financial analyst. And so we all work together on this, and it has been a wonderful opportunity to see come to fruition.
Dan and Dee.
I was just going to ask you to introduce your team members. Thank you very much. Congratulations to everyone. We very much appreciate the good job you do and the thought you put into ways to do it better. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, congratulations on behalf of the citizens of Winston. We really appreciate your efforts and helping to transition us to this culture change that we had to go through the past 3 or 4 years. I would be interested to see in a short report what were the parameters or the metrics to garner this award against whatever cities and maybe some of the cities that we went up against. I'd be interested to see that.
Yes, ma'am. We will contact SWANA.
Thank
to
you.
get that information.
Thank you.
And I just, again, also just reiterate what's already said. You know, there's, no matter how well you put together a piece of public policy, if you don't have good public servants to implement
Right.
that like yourselves, it doesn't matter how well it's put together. And so again, we say thank you.
Thank
And also say thank you to Councilmember Bessie, who's been a great champion of these type of things in our city. So again, salute him as well as being one on council who truly supports this type of work.
Thank you.
You can never have too many thank yous, by the way. But on behalf of the residents of the sensational Southeast Ward, we thank you for what you do for our city. Mr. Taylor, I think this definitely reflects positively on your leadership and the leadership of Mr. Turner as the city manager who's in charge of the entire department. But we thank you, and we appreciate your good work in the city.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll add another thank you.
You can never have enough.
Good going, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Item G1.
G1, resolution in support of a policy change regarding back billing of undiscovered stormwater fees.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, the city currently has a policy authorized by state statute that says that for undiscovered impervious surface, that we can go back up to 3 years and charge a person for the underbilling for that stormwater system. Since our observations are that almost all of these types of mistakes are a failure by the city to discover the impervious surface area or the totality of the impervious surface area, we felt that it was appropriate to ask council if they would approve a policy that says that we would no longer go back 3 years, but that we would only begin charging the new amount or the corrected amount from that date forward. We felt that, again, since the primary reason why we missed these impervious surface charges are associated with the city not being aware of it, and that the property owner had no reason to be aware that they were being undercharged, that it was appropriate to just begin the new charges from this date forward and not back bill for 3 years, as authorized by statute.
Committee. Councilman Taylor Light.
Mr. Chairman, I spoke with Mr. Turner and the staff about this and asked that it be brought before committee, and I'm glad we got it here at an appropriate time. There have been countless citizens and churches who have been complaining about being back billed to no fault of their own. I definitely support this particular council action, and I ask that the committee pass this as soon as humanly possible. Thank you.
Tell me how one misses impervious surface. I just am intrigued by how that.
We might, for instance, have calculated the amount of impervious surface area by looking at an aerial photograph. And when we actually did a field investigation, we may find that they had significantly more. Another scenario is that the tax records might show a piece of property associated with one property owner, and then when we actually do some detailed checking, we find out it's actually associated with another property owner. Because the computer records weren't up to date, and when we check the actual files, we find out that the ownership wasn't, for instance, with this property owner who had an exception but was tied to this other property. So those are two examples of how impervious surface might be undercalculated.
How about, what sort of impervious surface would not be visible from those aerial?
If you have a parking lot that has cracks growing through it, and because of the way the aerial was flown, it looks like it may be a grassed area, then that would be impervious surface that would not be captured by the aerials. If it was in some cases, we count gravel areas as impervious surface because of our clay soils, so those would be areas that also may not be captured. But primarily, it's situations where the aerials just weren't quite clear, and when it was measured, the measurement did not capture all of the impervious surface.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Bessie.
Yeah, I think this is a good change. I think that it'll avoid unnecessary hardship situations, and I move approval.
Move for approval.
Will you second him?
Oh, second. Sorry.
Any questions, any
Long
additional
day.
questions? I do think that this is a good change for us in making sure that there aren't any other issues. Just with instances like this, some may say, well, we don't get anything from those back, but I do believe if it's our error, then we should be the ones to have to carry the bucket on that. So it's been moved and properly second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Item G2.
Resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Morrisburg Architects Incorporated for professional architectural design services for the property located at 2000 Lowry Street.
And City Engineer Robert Presswood will be briefing you on this one.
Good evening, council members. This item before you is to give the city manager permission to enter in an agreement with Morseburg Architects. They are the firm that we hired to do the original space study on the Lowry facility so that we could begin planning on the movement of sanitation, the engineering field office, employee medical, and employee training into that facility. One of the items in that original contract is if we were happy with the work they performed, we would enter in negotiations with them to actually do the architectural design and contract documents. And that's what this item before you is. We were very pleased with the work. They showed very good knowledge in public works facilities. And so we have negotiated a price with them to actually do the architectural design and create a package that is ready to be put out to bid. I'll take any questions.
Questions from committee members? I have one, but I'll hold it.
Oh,
Go.
Robert, tell me how, there is a building on the site, and this plan is to refurbish that building?
That's correct.
Okay.
The existing building is basically just a huge warehouse. And so there's a significant amount of work that's going to have to be done to it. The roof is going to have to be redone. That part of the walls will have to be adjusted. There's also a lot of site work as far as, especially for sanitation, as far as design of where the trucks are going to go, where the truck wash is going to go, that type of thing.
Yeah. And what about the, this is just four elements from the yard. There will then have to be built other buildings to house other functions.
That's correct. Currently, this is what we're considering as phase one.
Uh-huh.
The Lowry facility will not contain the entire yard, but that this phase is using, I'd say probably a half to 2/3 of the building, so there is still remaining space to move some other departments over there when the time comes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions? I do. In regards to the actual quote we have on this from them in terms of what's been negotiated, it would be good for me, and then you can give me that something maybe on Monday if we have it, but how this number actually compares to others doing the same type of work. I know since it wasn't put out the bid in terms of these type of services, we don't necessarily get a listing of what others in terms of competing for that service, but just want to see if there's any way to get a sense of what other firms would look like at doing the same type of work for us.
What we might be able to do is check with some other cities and see what they've paid for design services for comparable building facilities. What we can't get is competitor prices because that introduces a bidding problem. But we'll try to get you some data on what other cities have done in comparable facilities. We don't have a comparable facility here, so we'll have to check with other cities.
Right, and again, this firm is out of Charlotte, correct?
That's correct.
Right, and again, nothing particularly against Morseburg. It's just a particular thing that I brought up, particularly on some of my professional service contracts, and as much local opportunity as we possibly can do, but then also looking at specifically what we pay in for certain professional services, and the fact that we don't bid out many of those. So sometimes it's hard to gauge what a competitor would actually bring in, and if we're getting the best bang for our buck, because we don't actually bid out a lot of those professional services.
Right.
Is there,
Move approval.
Second.
that been moving properly second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I abstain. It's 2 in favor, 1 abstention. Is there anything else to?
Very briefly, I should have thought to ask about this when Mr. Taylor was here, but a constituent of mine on Carrollwood Drive, off of Atwood Road, reported an issue with the placement of various rollout carts on Atwood near Carrollwood. She indicated they were so close to the road that it was difficult to turn onto Carrollwood, that she had seen school buses having problems. I believe they're supposed to be a little bit back from the actual edge of the pavement. That's so routinely ignored, I wouldn't want to ask for fines or citations, but perhaps if staff can take a look at that and see if it appears to actually be impeding turning motions, then a warning note, a caution note to folks, ask them to pull that back appropriately would be appreciated.
Will do.
Thank you.
And then just wanted to ask, do people actually put the carts in the street?
They're not supposed to.
I know they're not supposed to, but is that what?
That wasn't what was reported. What was reported to me and what I was asked to check on was people putting the carts, literally flush with the edge of the street, so that on a ribbon paved road with no curb, that it was close enough that larger vehicles were having trouble making turning movements.
Got it.
Yeah, and just on the same subject, I've seen similar, but I think, and we maybe have to get Ms. Taylor back in to say something on that, but I've gotten complaints kind of from the opposite way of not necessarily of individuals themselves putting it, but they put it at the edge of their property, but when they get back, when it's dumped, it's in the street and not necessarily in the same place. So, I think it may be a dual one where some people are putting it out, but then also where it's getting put back down may also be something that.
And in
Yeah.
fact, she had mentioned that when they were replaced in the same problematic spot. Looking at that road, I can see that there are spots where if you put it back from the pavement, it's going to roll down the hill. So, hopefully that's not where the problem is happening.
We'll look at that. I'll talk to Mr. Taylor about that as well.
All right. If there's nothing else to come before the committee, we consider ourselves to be adjourned.